Hello and welcome to the Super Expander podcast. My name is Corey Phelps, your host. I'm a business and life success coach, wealth mentor, clinical hypnotherapist, breathwork facilitator, growth and expansion expert, speaker, investor, serial entrepreneur, former fitness professional, mom, dog lover, sunshine chaser, and deep down inside, I'm a self-proclaimed foodie. I started my personal development journey shortly after the birth of my daughter. I found myself in a career that I was absolutely miserable in. I was asking myself questions like, there's got to be more to life than this. I was completely unwilling to settle for a mediocre existence. So I became obsessed with creating peak performance in humans and really learning what it takes to tap into our unharnessed potential. The last 10 years have been a crash course in self-love, business, community building, empowerment, becoming resourceful despite a lack of resources, learning how to build wealth. And it's really truly my mission now to help others discover their deeper purpose and potential, to become more conscious leaders, to take ownership of their own personal wealth, to access their untapped potential. I am here to support you in achieving more growth, more abundance, more wealth, to truly become super expanders. So sit back, tune in, and prepare to expand. Hello, super expanders. How are you doing? Really? How are you doing though? I feel like so often we get asked that question and we just drop into that default of I'm fine, I'm good, without really connecting with actually how we're feeling, or it's that feeling of like they don't really want to know how I'm feeling. Get where I'm coming with that, but I got to tell you, I really do. I want to know how you're feeling. I'd love to explain and break down exactly what HypnoBreathwork is. It is a cutting edge experiential therapy. HypnoBreathwork takes breathwork, hypnosis, and visioning and creates access to immediate results. So the reason why it's more results driven than talk therapy is we spend so much time inside of talk therapy intellectualizing, processing, which often keeps us rooted in the past. But if you're anything like me, you want to create shifts and transformations and move out of these experiences that keep us rooted in the past and experience growth. So the breath work does two things. It allows you to enter into the subconscious mind, the storehouse of your beliefs and values, to heal from the root, simultaneously clearing past emotions from your nervous system as well as energetic patterns. We layer in hypnosis to reprogram the subconscious blocks and limiting beliefs. Lastly, adding in visioning or visualization. And the visualization is when you generate the image, the vision of what it is that you desire. The visioning is when the downloads come through. When we get to hold the image of the future that we want to generate and the emotion in our body, that we start to shift our energy and fire new neural pathways to create the life that we desire. That is an extremely potent and efficient process. If you're ready to master yourself, master your emotions, dissolve your triggers, heal your past, then you're going to want to try out this so magical, potent, powerful experience. Goodness, I have so much to share with you today, and I'm really, really excited because I'm going to tell you the whole story of my experience going through my HypnoBreath certification training, which I went through just a few short weeks ago, maybe coming up on, I don't know, a month and a half or something like that. And I have to tell you, it was truly a potent, powerful experience, one that I was not expecting in the slightest. And the journey to get there was also a sequence of something that I could only chalk up to a divine sequence of events, intervention. The universe has a plan in store for us, and it really played out based on intuition and some things like that. But it didn't, it wasn't just this like straight shot of, okay, I'm signing up and doing it sort of intuitive action. So let's kind of dive in, and I'm going to share with you. So breathwork training is something that had been on my mind for a while. And I've actually gone through a one day training that really, I felt like at the end of it, I didn't learn a lot. I didn't feel prepared or equipped to facilitate breathwork. So I knew I needed something that was going to educate me more, make me feel more confident in leading breathwork sessions. But what I really wasn't thinking about was the work and the transformation that was required for me in order to be a potent facilitator. And something that I think is really, really super important in whatever it is that we coach, we lead, we teach, is a level of embodiment. And that word gets pushed around, tossed around a lot these days. And what embodiment really, really is not just having experienced something, but experienced it deeply and allowing it to shift and change you. So completely different than just checking a box and going through a certification. Like going through an experience that created a transformation, a shift inside of you that essentially forever changes you. That is embodiment. It forever changes you. So now you can really deeply understand where someone is on the other side, like the pre-side of the transformation. It's almost like when you're the person who's facilitating that transformation for them, they have the benefit of almost having hindsight type of vision before they've arrived at the transformation, because they have someone who so deeply has embodied the experience and the work. They can help them get there with more ease, perhaps, not always ease, but navigate uncharted territory with someone who's been there. So it's like having a guide who really like knows the ins and outs. That to me is really what embodiment means when you bring it forth in your coaching. So how that translated into my HypnoBreathwork certification was this. So I told you I had this certification, this training on my heart. I wanted to be able to add it into my coaching practices, but I think I was thinking of it definitely more from a masculine energy type of perspective. Like I just want to do this education. I know how to do it and I can teach the thing, but I wasn't thinking of it in an embodiment standpoint. So I started looking for trainings, and I had looked at the HypnoBreathwork training, actually the last round that was run, and I didn't sign up, and I watched and I waited for new dates to be released. I was on the wait list, and when it was announced that the training was opening up, I re-looked, and I basically got inside of my head and my ego and was like, okay, so HypnoBreathwork is, it's hypnosis and breathwork and visioning, as well as NLP-based strategies, all put into one really potent experience. And so where my ego and conscious mind was blocking me, essentially, is what was happening, was the fact that I'm already a master NLP practitioner. I am a clinical hypnotherapist. I've been facilitating meditation and visioning exercises for many, many years. So I was like, I don't know if this is really right for me because I already know this work, right? I should probably experience something different. And so I allowed my ego and my conscious brain to block me. And I'm like, nah, let's just put this over here. I'm going to forget it for a while. And I started researching other trainings, and I found one that I was excited about signing up for. It was in Arizona, and it was actually set to happen the exact same dates as the HypnoBreathwork. Yeah, wild, right? And so I started making my plans to go to Arizona. And in the meantime, I submitted a proposal to lead a corporate retreat for an executive team. And I included breathwork in my proposal. So now I really have to go and get this training, right? Because I put it in my proposal in this contract. So I buy my plane ticket, which if you know me, I am like, when it comes to travel plans, I tend to be like the last minute person who's like booking their flight like the week of, booking my hotel the day of, for like a multitude of reasons. I probably have some work to do around my like commitment level for certain things, and not like my commitment to the work, but just I always have this in the back of my head that I'll just like, something is going to come up potentially that's going to shift or change the trajectory of things. So I'll just make it easy for myself, and I'll wait until like later to book it, which, always ends up being more expensive. But this particular instance, I bought my plane ticket well in advance. I booked my lodging well in advance, and it was coming up on the time that trip should happen, right? And I realized that I hadn't signed up for the actual certification. I'm like, what are you doing, Gore? It's crazy. So I'm like, I better go sign up. And I hop online, and the certification was completely sold out. And I messaged the person whose training it was, and I was like, oh, is there a wait list? Is there any way you can squeeze one more in? And they were like, oh, no, absolutely. There's a wait list, but there's like 3 people already on it. And no, I hold myself to a high integrity to keep the numbers small so that the training is high touch and people have a great experience. So I'm like, okay, I respect that totally. And I'm like, okay, guess the universe does not want me to take this training. It really, truly wants me to do the HypnoBreathwork training. That's why this is happening, exact same dates. And so I reached back out to Francesca, who you will have the very, very amazing experience of hearing from her one of these days, very, very soon, as I interview her for the podcast. So I reached out to Francesca, and I'm like, okay, so I'm ready to sign up. And while I definitely knew this was a divine type of intervention from the universe, I was still a little bit in my ego, okay, maybe a lot in my ego, and hadn't fully surrendered to the universe on this one yet. So Francesca's like, we need to hop on a call to talk about this. And I'm like, okay. So we hop on a call, and I'm like, okay, so like, I just give me the link and sign up. And so she had all these questions for me. And I'm like, yeah, it's okay. I'm signing up. We don't really need to do a sales call here. She's like, this isn't really a sales call. This is like a get to know you call. Make sure that you are a good candidate, to make sure that you are like going to take this seriously, that sort of thing. So at the very end, we have this great conversation, and she's like, oh my gosh, I'd love to welcome you in. And I'm like, fab, just send me the link. And she's like, but before we hang up, what's blocking you right now? Like, what's blocking you in life, in your coaching business? What's blocking you? And I'm like, I'm good. I don't have any blocks. She's like, really? You don't have any blocks? And I'm like, yep, no blocks. Just send me the link, pay in full. And she's like, wow. Okay, fabulous. And when we hung up the call and she sent me over the link to pay, I actually was sitting there with myself and I was like, how could you say you have no blocks? That's like the most ridiculous thing ever. You are not a perfect human. Of course you have blocks. So I sat with it for a little bit and I reached out and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't even believe that I said that. Like, I'm embarrassed that I said that. Like, wow, I was on such an ego trip when I said that. I have no idea. Have you ever felt stuck? Like something is blocking you from reaching your full potential? You feel like if only you had access to the tools to unlock your deeper purpose and potential, if you could surround yourself with a community of like-minded people on a similar growth journey, you're just ready to kick fear, doubts, imposter syndrome to the curb. Enter the Energetic Society, your premium membership to amplify and unlock your deeper purpose. The Energetic Society is a donation-based membership filled with healing modalities to help you build more wealth and more freedom inside your life, inside your business, all for the price you choose to pay. Inside the Energetic Society, you get to have it all: wealth, impact, success, connection, fulfillment. And all you have to do is text 202-918-3235. Again, text 202-918-3235. Send us the word wealth, and you will receive the link to join the donation-based membership of the Energetic Society straight to your cell phone today. And really what it was, I was, I was not in a headspace of being raw, real, and vulnerable. And she had told me on that call, she's like, during this training, you are going to get cracked wide open. You're going to get cracked wide open. You're going to cry, and it's going to transform your life forever. And I'm like, okay. Like, she doesn't know me though, because I don't cry, which is not true. I cry, but I definitely have gone through a phase up until recently where crying really was not available for me. I was in a very like masculine, tough, like go, go, go. I don't have time to feel disappointment, feel hurt, process emotions. So you can imagine, as I proceed into this certification, I was in a place where I really needed to be cracked open. And there was a series of events even before the training kicked off that was really laying the foundations for me to be cracked open. Many events that had me in a place of being triggered and really connecting to what my core values are. And one of my top core values is integrity. And what was happening for me was all over the place. I was getting triggered by people out of integrity and was struggling with it big time. I carried all of that into this epic 4-day training experience. And so the first day, we are going around and introducing ourselves, telling a little bit about who we are, what we do, why we're here, that sort of thing. Normal icebreaker, get to know you stuff when you're in a container. And I was the last one, I believe, actually to go. And by the time that they got to me, I said my name and I burst into tears. I couldn't even speak coherently while I was crying. I wasn't even fully aware and certain and sure, or really couldn't articulate why I was feeling this profound emotion. And we hadn't even started the actual training yet. So I was completely just cracked open from the onset of the training, which for me was perfect and divine and exactly what I needed. And one of the things, even outside of the breath work, but maybe intricately woven into that, is being able to do the work to feel your feelings and also still communicate with grace and ease. And that was something that I had been fighting for a really, really long time. I had not been able to actually feel the feelings, cry, be angry, be upset, be sad, whatever it happened to be, like these like tough emotions that we feel, and still communicate with poise and consciousness and like clearly and effectively. And one of the things that I was able to, through doing the work in the training, in our certification, through my breath work, and is continuing to blossom and grow for me, is that ability to walk with your emotions, to truly feel them and communicate, like holding it all while you communicate at the same time, which was massively expansive, profound. It was a huge growth point for me, moving me into this next level of leadership, of embodiment, of coaching. So that was like one of the big pieces of what I ended up with at the end. So the next, after the first day, this introduction, we walked through many breathwork sessions together. I think it was six to be, yeah, six. I think six. We went through an inner child healing, and that was really, really deep for me. Experienced some flow state sessions. We had an opportunity to facilitate a session for another member inside of the training. And it culminated in the end during a session where we really were trying to connect with our purpose for going through the training and how we were going to bring that forth to the world. And Frank was the facilitator of this most beautiful session, which you'll also get to meet him at some point here in the near future too. Frank led the most beautiful session. And I have to tell you, I had the most profound experience. And so this session was really designed to help you connect with basically building your signature session. And what my end experience is something that I've only ever experienced prior to that moment one time. And it was the most deep and most profound feeling of gratitude and love and wholeness. And I'm gonna get ready to cry even just like talking about it, because like when I think about it, it's such an amazing feeling. And the only other time that I had felt this feeling like this was that moment when I had my daughter, and I just birthed her, and they took her and they set her right on top of my stomach. And I was looking at her in nothing but just pureness of love and gratitude, and nothing else was there other than that. It's the most divine feeling ever. And that was the only time I'd ever experienced it or connected to that feeling. And at the end of the session, that's the feeling that I had. And it seems, how could I have left a breathwork session and compare it to that most beautiful moment of my life, basically the moment in my life that everything changed, the moment in my life that I say, like, my daughter truly, truly saved my life and has been my greatest teacher. And I was able to connect with that feeling through breathwork. So from that moment, I knew that, like, this breathwork session truly changed me forever. And I felt like this sense of gratitude, because now here it is, I have the knowledge, the power to facilitate that for someone else, which was almost like too much for me to even comprehend and handle, because I feel that if every human had access to feeling that feeling, the whole entire world would change. And I believe that we are all put here on this planet to create a ripple effect. And it was like, wow, this is really what I've been searching for my entire life, through all of my careers, all of my trainings, all of the learnings that I've gone through. It was like they were preparing me for this particular moment. And here this gift was given to me to be able to facilitate this power shift and change in other people in so many different ways. Just the healing process of it, the coming home to yourself, to accessing your own divine gifts and power so that you can bring them forth in the world and change other people's life. Like that's the ripple effect. And so that was my HypnoBreathwork experience. And here I am today. And I afterwards knew that my entire way of coaching my clients and really doing business, and I mean, let's be real, approaching how I live my life, has been completely turned upside down in the most beautiful, most divine way. And I've been waiting to really share the details and the depths of that story. So thank you. Thank you for listening. I hope that it landed. I hope that somewhere inside of there, it gave you a feeling of knowing that you can connect to that intuition inside of you, because that's truly what I believe happened is through breath work, that we literally connect to our intuition in a way that I've only had access to connect to my intuition in this way. And I'm a very intuitive person. I truly am. But breathwork really gave me the power to basically dial up my intuition in whenever I want to, whenever I desire to, whenever I need to get the answers that I need, that I want, that I desire. And the beautiful thing is that you have this power inside of you too. Yes, you do. And that, my friends, is a wrap. I love you. Until the next time. If you like what you heard, stop, drop, and leave a 5-star review and hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And as always, sharing is caring, so snap a pic and share this episode with another super expander.